Vowing that the sound of this bell pervades the universal Dharma realm, bringing luminous white light to the black iron perimeter of hell, removing in an instant the suffering caused by the three evil ways. A mountain of swords is destroyed, and all sentient beings enter enlightenment together. Homage to the Master Teacher, our Kana Buddha, compassionate Lord of the Lotus-born universe, expounding the treasure verses of the sacred golden text contained within precious case written on jade scroll. Each dust mote interpenetrates, and the universe becomes one. Every realm is united with all other worlds. The truth is contained in the 1,095,048 words of the utmost vehicle's consummate teaching. Homage to the Avatamsaka Sutra, expounded by the Buddha. To understand the Buddhas of endless time, just penetrate this phrase: everything is created by mind alone. The mantra of shattering hell. Namawata Shitinam, Samyak Samotagujinam, Om Majana Baba Sikiriyu. Namawata Shitinam, Samyak Samotagujinam, Om Majana Baba Sikiriyu. Namo Vatashitinam Samyak Samotagushinam Om Majnabhava Sijiri. Vowing now for the rest of my life not to give rise to extraneous thoughts, following only Amitabha Buddha. Thought after thought will constantly merge with the jays of his jade-like brilliance, each instant never leaving the qualities of his golden form. Holding them all and bearing witness to the universal Dharma realm, empty space is but a thread, leaving nothing unconnected. There is nowhere that Rakana Buddha is not present equally. Through contemplation, seek Amitabha of the Western Shore. Homage to the great teaching master, Lord of the Western Shore, the Buddha, the Tathagata of infinite life. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. The land of ultimate bliss has 10 kinds of adornment. Homage to Amitabha is adorned with Amakara's vow, his cultivation cause. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the power of Amitabha's 48 vows. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with Amitabha's name and the brilliance of his life force. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled images observed by the 3 Mahasattvas. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the peaceful bliss of Amitabha's Western world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the jeweled rivers running with pure and meritorious water. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the jeweled basilicas with halls of wish-fulfilling jewels. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with lengthy days and nights. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the Pure Land's 24 kinds of pleasures. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the 30 kinds of beneficial merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha, who is unparalleled in heaven or on earth. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He is also unmatched throughout the worlds of the 10 directions. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He has seen the annihilation of self in everything in the world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. There is no one who is like Amitabha Buddha. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can keep track of thoughts as numerous as all the dust motes in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can quaff all the waters in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can control the wind that fills space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. No one can completely describe that Buddha's merits. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is omnipresent. place of no thought, the sixth sense gates will constantly emanate light of purple and gold. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha's face, like the full moon, is at the front of the hall of ultimate bliss. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. His jade excrescence and his gold form radiate through space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. If a person call his name for only a moment, they will instantly consummate immeasurable merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Along with all sentient beings, I vow together to enter the sea of Amitabha's great vows, and to ferry across sentient beings, so that I and others may simultaneously complete the path to Buddhahood. The sublime mantra of the original mind of Amitabha Buddha. Kanyata Paritara Sabaha. Kanyata Aritara Savaha. Kanyata Aritara Savaha. Kanyata Aritara Savaha. Onyata Aritara Savaha. Onyata Aritara Savaha. Aritara Savaha. morning, Sangha. We're going to do things a little different this morning. We're changing it up. So I will be doing the three refuges and the Heart Sutra, and then Reverend Yong Su, will come back up and do the Dharma talk. And we say together, I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the three jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. Now, if you have a book with you or you've downloaded it, we'll now do the Heart Sutra, which is on the very next page. The Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion from the deep practice of prajna paramita perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna paramita is the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. The Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra.
And I quote, "But it is not enough for me to stand before you tonight and condemn riots. It would be morally irresponsible for me to do that without, at the same time, condemning the contingent, intolerable conditions that exist in our society today. These conditions are things that cause individuals to feel that they have no alternative than to engage in violent rebellions to get attention. And I must say tonight that a riot is the language of the unheard. And what has America failed to hear? It has failed to hear the plight of the Black poor has worsened. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are concerned about tranquility and the status quo rather than justice and humanity. Martin Luther King Jr. I'm a member of the most privileged class in the world, a white male. I certainly cannot say to my brothers and sisters of color, I know exactly how you feel. I can say I am sickened and outraged at what has happened to George Floyd and countless other unnamed people at the hands of the people that are here to protect us, the police. I am sickened by a poll recently done by the Monmouth University, which found that a little over 50% of all U.S. citizens believe that police use excessive force against African Americans. And that is up from 1/3 4 years ago. Now, if we took all people of color out of that poll and only polled whites, it would say that the majority of white people don't have a clue. We are ignorant in the extreme, truly asleep, living our delusions. My heart hurts for all of us. Events like these can make us feel hopeless and powerless. In light of all that has happened, we may ask, what can I do? What can a good Buddhist do? Well, the next best thing, which might be go to a protest. Work to keep peaceful, like Brian Jennings did last Thursday, leading an impromptu march about 7 miles around town. And they actually unarmed a woman standing in the middle of the street with a baseball bat, and it was all peaceful. We can give protesters water, food, shelter. We can write our elected officials and elect officials by voting that promote social justice. We can stay at home. Inform. I should say, yeah, we can stay at home too. That's the next part of this talk. We can stay informed. We can give money to organizations that promote civil liberties. Continue our practice. Be centered. Be a voice of peace. We can carry a chant with us. What can I do? What can I do? And the way will open. And we can love each other. So good morning. My original talk, the talk was going to be COVID-19 and the Four Noble Truths. I started that about a month ago, thinking about that. So obviously, there's more than just the virus going on for us right now, significantly more. But let's take a quick review of the Four Noble Truths. Life is dukkha, which we can translate into suffering, unsatisfactoriness, stress, anxiety. The cause is desire, but not just desire born of greed, anger, and delusion. There is a way out, and that way out is the Eightfold Path. So it's been almost 3 months since we went into lockdown. Fanchen and I were determined to be in the more vulnerable class, So we really locked down. We stayed at home. People very generously shopped for us. There was a constant balancing, though, of what is fearful and what is prudent to do. Looking at that cause of suffering, dukkha, at first when I looked at it, I didn't think, well, am I that greedy? But I wanted leadership, not politics. I wanted safety. I wanted to see my relatives. I wanted our temple to open up. I wanted to know what was the right thing to do, because those answers seemed to change. But it was me, I. I became very self-centered in those first few weeks. Fearful. I don't like to admit it, but I was fearful. So the first one, greed. The second cause, anger. I didn't have to look very far for anger. It was right in front of my face. Every time I watched the news, it was frustration, anger, and sometimes rage. The straw that broke the camel's back was one Sunday night we decided to watch the evening news and then 60 Minutes. It was horrible. It was just too much. I went to bed that night, and the next morning I woke up and I felt like I had a hangover. And I did. It was an emotional hangover. We decided right there we're not going to watch the news. We'll read it, but I just don't have the strength to watch it. A tool that we use in our recovery program is called the Serenity Proclamation, or you may know it by the Serenity Prayer. We just changed one word. We changed the word God to the word love. And it goes, love grants me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And we add just for today. So we have acceptance, courage, and wisdom. I was going more toward denial, fear, and delusion. I need to say that I don't say that prayer just once and it's all done. I need to chant it constantly. And then the final cause is delusion. And it's defined as a belief that is firmly held despite contrary evidence. Delusion is anger and greed. It's the opposite of a term we use in Buddhism called thusness or suchness, which is basically simply stated the way things really are. A clear view without our sunglasses on, different shades of darkness. When I'm in the middle of the hells I create, and I was creating some hells watching the news, and I can still dip into that. The light of day does not get through my colored lenses. The way out. I love the Shin Shin Ming, which is a little booklet of 25 stanzas, a little poem. And one of them that seemed particularly appropriate to me. If you wish to know the truth, then hold to no opinion for or against anything. To set up what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. One more time. If you wish to know the truth, then hold to no opinion for or against anything. To set up what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. That's a lot. But it doesn't say we can't have opinions. It says don't hold on to them. We clutch them and massage them and make them something that goes way beyond what the original idea was. pervading message in Zen is attachment. And when we attach to an idea, when I attach to what I think should be happening in the news, what I want to hear, and it doesn't mean I approve of bad behavior that's going on, but I'm allowed to have an opinion about that, but I can't embrace it and carry it and massage it and drive myself nuts with it. So acceptance. I accept the things the way they are. Courage, I change the things I can't. And wisdom, I see what I can do and what I can't. And mostly it's all about what I can do with me. So that helps us with a right view out of suffering. Karma is an interesting concept. We think of it mostly as personal karma. But there's also an extended karma, a sangha karma, a community karma, a state, a nation, a world. We're all connected. My teacher loves to say 0 degrees of separation. If you accept that truth, and that's another central theme of Zen, attachment and oneness. If you accept that, then we are one, and our action as a world, as a country, as a state, as a community, as an individual, it's all connected. You can't separate it. And you might say, me and that person, we're one? Yeah. It takes a lot to grab onto. But that's the truth. 0 degrees of separation. Another thing I use, which helps me get out of suffering, is Lojong, and to get a right view. And it goes, one reflection, when something undesirable happens, rather than blaming somebody or something else, I will look at how I have contributed to it. I will train to ask, maybe this isn't how things really are. It might be my own ego projecting something onto the circumstances. I must stop personalizing things. I will look at the poison and not the person. So, it's always easier to blame somebody else when something undesirable happens, but it takes a little work to look beyond that, to see how I might have contributed. And then train to ask, and it's training that we're in. It's a practice. It's not a perfect. So we're training to ask, maybe this isn't how things really are. And that can be very difficult at first. I remember early on in my recovery, ways back, one of my sponsors said, we're going to clean our side of the street. And I contribute in some way, shape, or form to my experience, no matter what. If it's just my attitude about it, my non-acceptance. And then the big one that I've heard many years before Buddhism, for me, I must stop personalizing things. That is a difficult one. That's so easy for me to slip into. I don't like not being liked, and I can take actions personally, and I can make things that aren't real in this little head of mine. And then a key to that is, talking a little bit before about that, I will look at the poison and not the person. I don't have to accept bad behavior, but to condemn the person, I can't hurt the person without hurting me, whoever it is. But I don't have to accept their behavior. don't have to like the poison. So we can stop the blame game, right, wrong, you, me, red, blue, all of that stuff. I don't hurt you without hurting me. So we look toward building skillful behavior with these tools of the Serenity Prayer, Shin Shin Ming, Lojong, all the violence that's around us, try to transform that within ourselves. And that constant chant, what can I do? What can I do for me, for you, for all of us? So as we go into our meditation, take that thought in with you and just play with that. What can I do? Prepare yourselves for meditation. We will close with our three gathas on page 9. We say together, for all unskilled action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. Great seeing you all today.
Let's look at who chatted.
Oh yeah, who chatted? Oh, first of all, announcements. Let me grab the chair. We met in the park, in Garfield Park this Saturday, and we had about 15 people. And that was great to actually see each other. Yes. Ko and I are going to get our masks on here, be safe. We did that in the park, together, Garfield Park, about 15 of us, separated at least 6 feet, and wearing our masks. And that was a great time. So, weather permitting, we are going to be meeting at 10:30 Garfield Park on the northwest side by the gazebo. And there'll be a reminder in the newsletter. And one thing that, from the talk that I didn't stress, I don't think, and that is one thing we can do is reach out to each other. This has been a lonely time for a lot of us. So any kind of connection, a phone call, a text, showing up in the park, that all can help relieve our suffering. Now we do the dedication of merit. In equity among all beings, with open-hearted compassion for those who are facing any mental or physical challenges, who are sick, being treated for sickness, suffering isolation and loneliness, or close to death. We now hold it all in our hearts and minds. And by the virtue collected and the grace received through our Dharma activities of body, speech, and mind, we now dedicate this great field of merit for the transformation of suffering into the causes of awakening the hearts of all sentient beings. And our COVID-19 update. In Kent County, we have 3,887 cases, 95 deaths. In Michigan, 58,749 cases, 5,652 deaths. In the U.S., we have 1,891,690 cases, 109,192 deaths. Worldwide, 6,663,304 cases, 392,802 deaths, and all those who are not yet reported. So, do we have any live chat going on? I can't see it.
Well, Kate, I see Kate and Joel, Susan, Nathan, Caleb, Kate, Jeremy, Jake, Joel. Hey,
Thanks everybody for being with us today. During this time, we will continue to live stream from the temple. We will take our turns as Dharma teachers to present the Dharma to you. Does anybody have any questions that we can answer? If we can answer. I don't see any questions coming up. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Be well.